On the banks of the Three Rivers in Pittsburgh, we're at Highmark Stadium tonight as Tampa Bay Rowdies comes to town trying to make it back-to-back wins for the first time in 2025 against Pittsburgh Riverhounds, who are trying to bounce back from a loss last week against Indy 11. Alongside the coach, Eric Dobransky, I'm Josh Appel. Thanks so much for joining us and spending part of your Saturday night here in Pittsburgh. As we take a look at the Eastern Conference standings entering Week 16, Pittsburgh Riverhounds, Tampa Bay Rowdies both find themselves below the playoff cut line. Pittsburgh tied in points with Indy 11, but Indy do have the tiebreaker over the Riverhounds. Tampa Bay now in the bottom of the table thanks to Hartford's big win yesterday over Loudoun United. Well, Eric, for Pittsburgh and Bob Lilly, we know how stout defensively they are. Third fewest goals conceded in USL Championship, but they are tied for last in the league in goals scored.
And now it's about converting that defensive identity to developing that identity and sustainability offensively. And with that sustainability, you have to have variability, that threatening teams in different ways. And that lack of scoring output is placing a lot of pressure on this group defensively.
That's placing a lot of pressure on a guy like Robbie Mertz, arguably Pittsburgh's best attacking player. He's our Modelo player to watch.
And has been a mainstay for the Riverhounds, has a massive impact in the last match with 1 goal and an assist against Detroit City here at home. Presents the game with tremendous playmaking ability, class delivery from those wide areas and restarts. He's going to be instrumental tonight.
On the other side, Eric, Tampa Bay Rowdies, they're coming off of an emotional win, 2-1 over Miami. They trailed into the final 20 minutes of the match. Early on, Ethan Bandre, bit of a misplay in goal, allowed Miami FC to take the lead. But 2 goals in the final 15, 16 minutes. First one comes from Aaron Guillen, and then this one from Arteaga in stoppage time, gave Tampa Bay the victory. Two of the last 3 matches. Highmark Stadium has been a house of horrors for Tampa Bay over the years. Just 1 win in their 9 previous trips. Well, that changed tonight. We've got lineups and we've got kick coming up next.
Ain't no better feeling than a cold one in my hand. Well, that's why I'll be keeping Iron City in my plans. Oh, everywhere I roam, I'll be thinking about my home. Sitting pouring on the iron right before I go to rest. And when I'm laying in my bed, there's only one thing in my head. Just an ice cold can of Pittsburgh PA's best.
Welcome back to Highmark Stadium, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Pittsburgh Riverhounds hoping to get back in the win column tonight against a team they've fared very well against here at home, Tampa Bay Rowdies. Tonight's starting lineups presented by IC Light, starting 11 Brood. for victory.
And Josh, it's going to be who can influence the temperature of the match early and often. Charles All and Jackson Walty starting midfield, where winning first and second actions could come to define the result. Then out in the wide area, Rupiassi and Perrin Barnes. Perrin Barnes collecting his first goal of his career against Detroit City. Their dual role, not only influencing the defensive side, but their inclusion in finding the field, the attack is going to be essential.
You'll notice the captain, Danny Griffin, not in the starting 11 for Bob Lilly tonight. He's on the bench, though, available. It was a game-time decision. And for Steve Coleman, the interim head coach for Tampa Bay Rowdies, they turn once again to Ethan Bandry in goal.
Yep, and up top, Rubens Casillas has been a dynamic and electric presence. His 5 goals leads the team, and Lewis Hilton, a conductor in the engine room, his return was a welcome sight for the Tampa Bay Rowdies and showcased by 2 big-time assists in that win over Miami.
Steve Coleman and Tampa Bay have 2 wins this season. Both have come against Miami FC. They have yet to win back-to-back matches this season. Pittsburgh Riverhounds, well, they've only conceded 2 goals here at Highmark Stadium this season. Now, can they turn that a little bit into some offense as Robbie Mertz, who will wear the captain's armband tonight in place of Danny Griffin, Pittsburgh native. This club has never missed the postseason in the 7 previous years under Bob Lilly. Right now they find themselves below the cut line but tied in points in the 8th position in the Eastern Conference. And things not all over yet for Tampa Bay, although they do find themselves at the bottom of the East. You get hot, you could find yourself right back competing for a playoff spot. As we get underway from Highmark Stadium, so glad you could join us tonight. Josh Appel, Eric Dobransky with you. Tampa Bay coming off of an emotional 2-1 victory at home over Miami FC. Pittsburgh a 1-0 defeat over Indy 11. And Eric, we talk about how important it is for Pittsburgh to score. You could put it simply like this. If Pittsburgh Riverhounds concede a goal this season, they're not winning the game. All 4 of their victories in league play this season have been clean sheets.
Yeah, and in all competitions, when they concede first, they are 0-7-1. And Bob Lilly stressed the importance of starting fast, being aggressive. And that's on both sides of the ball. Obviously, they are a team that is predicated off their defensive posture and the way that they can create and generate opportunities off their press and their structure. But in the final third, it's about starting to put it together, and he understands, and he was very clear to us, that the teams that are consistent in this league are consistent in both boxes.
Team is also bottom of the league in shot attempts as well. And that's not to say they're not working on it. Try and go over the top into the corner. Tracked down by Jacqueson. Bob Lilly told us this week.
It's on creating and upgrading chances in the final third. I mean, against Indy 11, 0 shots on target. Created some chances, just were not able to upgrade and test Indy 11, put them in some difficult scenarios.
They've got an early corner kick opportunity. Robbie Mertz delivers in. Front post, header flicked, and cleared off of Guillen. And Natalie Simon, our referee tonight, signals for another corner from the opposite side this time.
Robbie Mertz, always clinical in these deliveries, these restarts. And for Pittsburgh, going back to their offensive woes, it's a team that defensively have been stout. So when they put that offensive portion back together, they're going to be a team to reckon with.
Swung in, back post, the header. Bandry lets it go wide for a goal kick. It's time for our keys to the game, building a win, presented by 84 Lumber.
And for Pittsburgh, we've just touched on it. Be bold in the attack. Play front-footed. Play with that risk, that assertiveness in order to be dangerous in the final third. And then for the Tampa Bay Rowdies, turn pressure into production. They are one of the best counter-pressing teams in the USL Championship. Now, when you regain possession in those areas, can you reward yourself with some chances in the final third and put teams under pressure in that regard? And you brought it up before kick, the Eastern Conference standings. These are two teams that, although they have sputtered through some results, they are right there in the thick of things. They might be far off a top 4 position, but 3 points tonight, especially with the Rowdies below the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, 3 points can flip the script quite quickly.
Well, just to give you an idea of how tight things are, if Pittsburgh come out on top tonight, they'll pull right behind Detroit in 6th place in the Eastern Conference and jump Miami FC. Race is on. Alvarez just came in from Charlotte Independence. This is his second start with Tampa Bay. Tonight's injury report is brought to you by Allegheny Health Network, the official medical provider of the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. Fernandez for Tampa Bay was questionable coming into today. He's obviously not in the starting 11. Nyongaberi still a little bit of time away, nothing too long term. They are hopeful to get him back in a little bit, probably next month.
Both these teams playing fairly close to full availability, and that's what you want to see, because there's 2 pieces to the puzzle that we just talked about with the standings. There's 4 less regular season games this season. So we are approaching the midway point of the season at a rapid rate. So how do you kind of find that mix and that blend of urgency and patience with getting results and starting to build that identity?
Trying to spring Bodley here. Bodley goes from the sunlight to the shade, and then that's put over the touchline for a throw-in. But you mentioned where we are in the season. If you go back to last year for Pittsburgh, remember they started the year 0-3-2. They were 3-9-6. At one point, they went almost 600 minutes without scoring a goal. But over the final 16 matches, 9 wins, just 1 loss, 6 draws. They had 10 clean sheets. They did lose in the first round of the postseason, but this group has talent, one of the best coaches in the league, and they certainly are capable of turning it on. And I think one of the frustrating things for Pittsburgh and Bob Lilly, you bring in Augie Williams, one of the best goal scorers in the history of this league, and he has yet to score since the season opener against North Carolina, just 1 goal this year.
And I think that's where I go back to the blend of patience and urgency. I think that's also the blend of you're hoping and assuming that this is all going to start coming together. And you mentioned the start last year. That was more of a daunting task maybe than this season. And I mentioned the 4 less games because of that start that Pittsburgh saw last season. They had those games to kind of build in. You saw them get hot and consistent at the end of the season. But this is an offense that is just missing that final action, missing that final moment. And when you bring in a player like Augie Williams, who has made a living of being clinical in those moments, it's about trying to find him, put him in those positions more consistently. And again, you don't want to assume that that's just going to happen.
As a coach, which would you rather try and work on mid-season to correct? Because we know how good Pittsburgh is defensively, one of the best teams in the league in that regard. But obviously they're lacking something in the attacking end. Or would you rather have it flipped, where you need to clean things up defensively, but you're scoring a lot of goals?
That's a great question. Yeah, I mean, I think defensively is sometimes the easier answer, just because you don't need the ball to be structured and organized. It's all off the ball commitment. It's all the battle of distances. Can you get them organized? Whereas in the attacking portion, it's so instinctual. It's so dependent on the players' ability to read each other, that cohesiveness, that fluidity. And that takes more time. That takes a bit more familiarity. And it's harder to force that along. You just hope that it starts to develop itself through a season. So I would say the defensive side is probably the easier side to start building, just because you need that hard work, that commitment to get behind the ball. But both these teams possess the class and the quality going forward to really be a threat to opponents day in and day out.
And this is unfamiliar territory for both clubs. They are locks for the playoffs seemingly every year.
And I think it's going to be fascinating to see this all play out, because you talk to coaches throughout the Eastern Conference. Obviously, there has become a bit of a divide from that top 3, top 4 in the East to everybody else. Obviously, North Carolina beating Lou City last night was a massive result for North Carolina. Charleston dropping to Miami.
And then, of course, Hartford defeating Loudoun yesterday as well.
Yep, so some big results that have kind of reeled in some of those top 3 teams. But you talk to coaches throughout the East, they all are very aware that what the standings look like now is not going to be close to what they look like later on.
Bodily towards the back post, and Eric Dick, the reigning goalkeeper of the year and Golden Glove winner, comes out to nab it.
I mean, Birmingham coming up with 3 massive points in the latter portion of that stage against Sacramento Republic. You got to imagine Mark Briggs' side is going to start getting into rhythm as we see this early service from Blake Bodily. Good numbers in the box from the Tampa Bay Rowdies.
Trying to spring Williams again. Barnes. And another throw for Pittsburgh. The USL on ESPN2 returns on June 25th as 2 teams on the rise battle it out on the field. Surging Indy 11 take on these Tampa Bay Rowdies, working hard to turn their season around. That's Wednesday, June 25th at 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2. That intercepted and then one right back by All. Lays it wide. On the goal line, out the side of the net. Cheeky attempt there from Luke Biasi. Longest tenured player on the club. Tried to get creative, but just couldn't put it on target.
And the other difficult aspect when you're trying to build that confidence on the attacking side of the ball is when you tell your team that you got to play with freedom. You can play with that risk that you want to play with, that front-footed nature. But you're seeing it here early from the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. Their intent, their purpose, their explosiveness, climbing the field, whether it's on the ball or off the ball movement.
Tiaga moves it ahead. Tampa Bay. Now Pasillas. Edge of the area. Arteaga. Stonewalled for the moment. He has to turn back. Tiaga scored in 2 of his last 3. His next one will be number 50 in his career, but Pittsburgh forces the turnover. And then Van Kaziel, won it back before a whistle from Natalie Simon and the foul.
And what becomes even harder for Pittsburgh is that record when you concede first. You talked about the pressure that it puts on your team collectively, defensively. But when you are so tense about conceding first, it does have you playing on the back foot. It does have you playing a little bit more defensive-minded, where you're backtracking a bit quicker, maybe earlier than you should be, instead of climbing the field and engaging defensively and regaining higher up the field. You just tend to retreat, drop off. You want to be tough to break down. And for the Tampa Bay Rowdies, that poise and composure they showcased against Miami, conceding late going into the break, really worked themselves back into that match. They managed the match exceptionally well, creating chances, managed the loud moments that you need in both boxes.
Both wins against Miami, both come from behind fashion. They've conceded the first goal 10 times this season. They're 2-7-1 when doing so. And their magic number, it's such an interesting contrast to these 2 teams. If Pittsburgh concedes, they're likely heading for a loss. As this is played across by Jack, was an opportunity in front, but Mertz might have mishit that, and that allowed Bandre to make the save. Good setup, and that's one of those examples of being a little more clinical in that final third.
Exactly, and this late run from Robbie Mertz is absolutely quality, and same with the run here. Jacqueson, this ball across the recognition, but just unable to connect in the way you need to put that in the back of the net. And those are opportunities that continue to kind of grow in the burden that they're putting on your team offensively.
I was about to say that the magic number for Tampa Bay is scoring twice. It's only happened on 3 occasions, but they are 2-0-1 when they score more than 1 goal. But that task, of course, very difficult against a team as defensively structured as Pittsburgh. Williams earns the corner. Hey, Riverhounds fans, join us for our next home game on Saturday, June 28th against Westchester SC for dollar beers and live band karaoke. Get your tickets today at riverhounds.com. Already the 3rd corner kick of the first 14 plus minutes of this first half.
An opportunity for Robbie Mertz to put in a dangerous ball, cause havoc, cause chaos in and around Ethan Bandre.
Mertz swings it in. Into traffic. An own goal. And Pittsburgh Riverhounds strike first in the first 15 minutes off the corner.
And this is a prime example of when you put it in the mix and you put it in an opportunistic area where there is traffic, there is numbers, there's a lot of decisions being made, gives your team the opportunity to either make first contact or you force the opponent into a mistake. And we see that touch by Van Kazeel. You can see the reluctance on making first contact there, and fortunately tucks away the first goal of the game.
The former Pittsburgh Riverhound, who played here from 18 to 20, wearing a different uniform now, but I guess he's still scoring for Pittsburgh. 1-0 to the Riverhounds here in the first 15 minutes.
And Van Kazeel has been tremendous for the Tampa Bay Rowdies this season. Just an unfortunate sequence of events there leading to that own goal. And this is the start that the Pittsburgh Riverhounds were looking for. And that's the thing, is offensively, when you are looking to start kind of building that momentum and building that traction, you do not care how that goal scoring gets started. You don't care if it's an own goal. You don't care if it's the slightest of deflections. Any way that you can start this change in trajectory, you will take it and you'll run with it.
Bassett on the give and go with Arteaga. He lost it, courtesy of Robbie Mertz. All trying to spring Jacquesin. Jacquesin battling, and it's won by Castellanos. Correction, make that White. So how do Tampa Bay kind of settle things down after that? This is honestly a little bit similar to last week. Obviously, the timing isn't the same, but the first goal was off a mistake by Ethan Bandre, the goalkeeper, and Steve Coleman told us how impressed he was with the bounce back from his young keeper as Tampa Bay moving forward. Bodily, the cross, deflected, sitting out in front. Alvarez, edge of the area. Alvarez trying to weave through 3 Pittsburgh Riverhounds, and he's unable to.
Well, that was a huge intervention by Sean Suber from Pittsburgh. If he doesn't get that touch, it was Rowdies players in and around the box, good layers. But to your question,
this was an own goal, is where I was going with that.
Yeah, exactly. And for Steve Coleman and his group, I know their record is not what they feel like it should be and what it needs to be to fit their ambitions of being a playoff side. But this is a team that is stacking confidence and stacking performances. And you mentioned the result last week against Miami FC, conceding late right before the break, earning the 2 goals. They're going to feel like they've been there, done that. Although they haven't been able to flip the results, that they have the ability and the quality to get themselves back in this match. And obviously, sometimes when you concede this early, you give yourself plenty of time here in the first half to find a leveler, and then you can go into the break tied up, and now you can make some decisions. So you still have plenty of time and plenty of match left.
It's been a mix of bad luck, injuries, and just overall inconsistency for Tampa Bay this year. Steve Coleman told us that really the only game that he's walked away from had been like against some very tough opponents. As this comes towards Arteaga in the area, Alvarez couldn't make a play on it, and then Bodily strikes it wide. Now for a goal kick.
And to add to this discussion about the Tampa Bay Rowdies in this match in particular, I know it's going to sound obvious, but the involvement of Rubens Pasillas.
Yep.
I mean, you haven't seen him on the ball quite yet. Now, this delivery right here, the attention you could see in and around Manuel Arteaga, and then Pasillas' late entry in that run, that can provide some danger against this Pittsburgh Riverhounds side that has been so good defensively. I mean, we talk about their offensive woes. Defensively, 5 clean sheets. They're amongst the top in the USL Championship.
Comes wide, now the cross, it's Williams! 2 goals in the first 20 minutes for Pittsburgh. And for the first time since opening weekend, Augie Williams has found the back of the net.
And this goal is built off early exchanges, winning those early exchanges, influencing those early exchanges, the ability to play with that freedom, to play with that risk going forward. They have pinned the Rowdies back in their own 18-yard box a number of times by driving that ball deep to the end line, and then their ability to flood the box, and not only flood the box, but flood it in the areas that goals are scored in. And Augie Williams right there on that back post run, the quality of the run, the timing of the run, and then you tack on a delivery like that. Just had to glance that home, and now you see the Pittsburgh Riverhounds with a 2-0 advantage.
Biasi with his 2nd assist on the season. It's already difficult to play from behind against Pittsburgh. Now you're down 2 in the first 20 minutes. If you're Tampa Bay.
And I'll go back and highlight the Robbie Mertz opportunity that he missed, that he kind of scuffed there in the 18-yard box. That drive by Jacqueson in the half space to the end line.
Here comes Jacqueson again. Working on Guillen, and earns another corner. And if this team can get Augie Williams going.
Yeah, they are going to be a tough out, and that's exactly what they're hoping from that standpoint, and that's something where you're connecting both boxes, but you're also continuing to grow and develop that familiarity with each other in an area where space is limited, as we see Steve Coleman and now his side have got to find some answers here fast.
They have been on their heels for the majority of the start of this one. Mertz towards the back post. Castellanos got a piece of it and cleared away by Tampa Bay, but Pittsburgh is back on it. Mertz in front. Williams, hands to the sky. If he just makes contact and directs it towards goal, it's 3-0.
Yeah, I don't know if Augie Williams' intent was to leave it or he just mistimes the finish. This ball comes, oh, it was a little behind him there.
Soccer season is here, and SeatGeek is the official ticketing partner of the USL. Get all your USL tickets and more from the #1 ticketing site, SeatGeek, your ticket to great seats. It's the rare non-start for Danny Griffin for Pittsburgh. Captain, dealing with an illness, is available off the bench, but not in the starting 11 tonight. And I think Bob Lilly would be A-okay if they can let him rest, recover, and get this victory, but still plenty of time left. 2-0 in the early going, and this is something that for Tampa Bay is they'll have their first opportunity at a corner tonight.
And just as Pittsburgh Riverhounds have kind of influenced those opening exchanges in the run of play, they want to make sure they do that defensively on this restart, this attacking corner from Lewis Hilton.
One of the big reasons why they've kind of fallen into this 2-8-2 start, among other things. You just look at their starts of games. In the first 30 minutes this season, including tonight, they've been outscored 8-1. The outswinger got a head on it. Arteaga is trying to plead his case. Well, that was last touched by Pittsburgh, but he'll lose that argument to Natalie Simon, and it's a goal kick for Eric Dick.
Yeah, it's difficult to have to play from behind. A majority of the matches talked about the pressure that Pittsburgh has been playing with defensively because of their inability to score goals at a consistent rate because they've scored goals. They scored the 2 against Detroit City, obviously got shut out against Indy 11 at Indy 11, didn't record a shot on frame. And then for the Rowdies, same thing. Do you tend to have to open up and play a bit more risky because you are playing from behind? And now defensively, it puts you in difficult situations.
Alvarez from distance skips towards Eric Dick, and he slides out to grab it.
Now with the 2 goals tonight, it's 23 goals against for the Tampa Bay Rowdies. And touched on it earlier with your question about which area of the field mid-season do you want to kind of keep developing and building off of. Defensively, fine-tuning that area, making sure that each game is getting, you felt very 3-1, lost to Rhode Island 3-0, but then after that 1-1 with Lexington, had a tough 2-1 loss against Lou City. Obviously the Lou City, an offensively stout team, and then beat Miami FC 2-1. So you felt like defensively it was trending in that direction. Then it was also allowing them to come alive offensively. But now at 2-0, you need to be able to cut this lead into half, preferably before the break.
There's a player down for Pittsburgh. Luke Biasi, slow to get out.
This is that dual role that we see from these players, the ability to get back defensively. Luke Biasi with that key assist.
4th season for Biasi here, mentioned earlier. He is the longest tenured player for the Riverhounds. He's closing in on 100 career appearances for Bob Lilly and Pittsburgh.
Stadium is a family-friendly environment. We ask that you enjoy yourself, but also do so in a responsible way. That's
Biasi will come off for the moment.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
An own goal in the 15th minute, and then 5 minutes later, Augie Williams put in his 2nd of the year and the 1st since the season opener. Out for a Pittsburgh Riverhounds throw here.
And for the Riverhounds, you hope that that's the goal for Augie Williams, that sparks a run of form that helps guide this team as they look to get results. This being the first of 3 league home games that they have. They bring in New Mexico United.
8 of their next 10 games are here at Highmark Stadium. Yep. They are starting a long stretch of home games here. And Tampa Bay is doing the opposite. They just got out of a long stretch at home that Steve Coleman told us, you know, it's great in theory, but guys are in the bubble for the whole time. Sometimes it's nice to get away and get on the road.
It is, and sometimes that interaction and that connection with teammates away from home is something that benefits a team, and obviously the stresses of playing at Al Lang in terms of this is an organization and this is a fan base and this is a team that is extremely ambitious, and that pressure to get results in this stage of developing. Obviously they're continuing to get some players available to deal with this Robbie Mertz delivery first.
Floated towards goal, back post, played in front, save made by Bandry, and then cleared off the line.
And right now, Pittsburgh Riverhounds are having their way on that far post. They are working off the blind shoulder of defenders, late runs, good timing, good delivery. But for the Tampa Bay Rowdies, when you include this match tonight, they host Indy 11 next. Then they're at Sacramento Republic, or sorry, San Antonio FC, my apologies. Then at Hartford and then at Indy. So 3 of those 4 games, obviously San Antonio FC being in the West, but 3 of those 4 games, 2 of them against Indy, are teams that are right there within striking distance in the standings. So it's going to be fascinating to see by these upcoming weeks, where are you and what kind of pressure are you applying to those teams that are just above you in the playoff standings.
Their season, of course, despite its start, certainly not over yet. There's still plenty of time, but they do have to kick it into gear soon. They only have so much before it becomes too tall of a task. Steve Coleman believes in this group. They'd love to get one here, at least one, before the end of the half. And we said it earlier, 9 previous trips here, just 1 win. They are 1-4-4 all time here at Highmark Stadium.
And the question becomes,
that's a mistake from Eric Dick. He slid a little bit too much on that turf over the end line, and it's now going to be a corner for Tampa Bay.
And good pressure for Manuel Arteaga. And the question becomes for the Tampa Bay Rowdies is who turns the tide in this game to get this team back in the match as we see this applied pressure. And obviously Eric Dick claims possession but finds himself going over the end line and giving Lewis Hilton a prime opportunity to swing this ball in.
How good was he against Miami FC? Couple of assists, and he delivers in here. Pasillas has timed his jump. Sent back into the area. White wide for Alvarez. Alvarez cuts it across. Headed away for the moment. Flicked up in the air. Comes down for Alvarez again. Battling there with Williams. Alvarez wins it, but then it's taken away and then cleared by Pittsburgh.
I think what we continue to see from this Tampa Bay Rowdies side is that grit, that commitment, that belief, that togetherness that keeps them in matches and keeps them fighting for a playoff position. And that's what the Pittsburgh Riverhounds are going to recognize tonight, is every match for the Tampa Bay Rowdies right now is a playoff game.
Yep.
So you're down 2-0, but it doesn't matter. How do you get back into it? How do you get the first goal and then push for the second?
That sense of urgency has to be there.
Yep.
Mentioned 2 assists from Lewis Hilton against Miami FC. Steve Coleman said to us, look, we're happy with the assists, but his all-around game since he's returned has been excellent.
And I think right now, the way that this midfield of the Pittsburgh Riverhounds are dealing with Lewis Hilton, you could see the denial of entry there from Jackson Walty right on Lewis Hilton, the inability to get on the ball and be that deep playmaker. It's going to be all about this, is picking up second actions.
Arteaga back for Bassett. It deflects and out. Perrin Barnes, last touch. It's a corner again for Tampa Bay.
And with all that attention and all the numbers that Lewis Hilton brings towards him to shut him down and not allow him to have influence, now how do you find that next line? And then just a play like that, you get on that second wave, that second phase, and you play make from there. And that's how Lewis Hilton influences this match, and then along with these restarts here.
And then swinger from this side. And Dick snares it. Can't watch the match? Turn on Sirius XM FC 157, North America's only 24/7 source for engaging soccer talk, including USL All Access on Tuesday nights with Mike Watts and Devin Kerr. Plus, you can hear live matches from the USL, MLS, Premier League, and more, all on Sirius XM FC 157 and the new Sirius XM app. Josh Appel, the coach Eric Dobransky with you from Highmark Stadium, 2-0 to Pittsburgh. Excellent first half performance so far from Bob Lilly's side. An own goal, and then Augie Williams separated by 5 minutes, 15th and the 20th. Williams, it was his first goal. It's all the way back in the season opener against North Carolina FC.
Hydration break.
And so here in the 35th minute,
Time for a flash.
teams will take a hydration break.
If you spend $30 in our team store, you'll get a free mini ball with your purchase. This sale will end at the 40th minute, so make sure to head over to the store now to take advantage of this special flash sale while it lasts.
The opportunity for Steve Coleman and his group regather themselves, talk about what they're seeing, problem solve, collaborate. And this is going to be a team that is approaching every match, especially a match like this, like a playoff game. So they're not going to be completely shut off from the 2-0 disadvantage. They're going to find a way to get one.
Hey, Riveters fan, join us for our next home game on Friday, June 27th against Steel City FC. Get your tickets today. USLW action. He's got to be happy with his side's first half performance here.
Has to be. I mean, for a team that coming into tonight tied fewest goals, 4 to 9, and you put 2 in the back of the net in the first 45, obviously one of them being the own goal, but still you have to create those opportunities. You have to create that sequence of events. And they had the 2 goals against Detroit City FC in their home win. Used each half to collect a goal, so you did see some of that ebbs and flow to the match. Now, they did hold Detroit City to no shots on target, and really solid defensively in that match, and continues to add to the allure that it is so difficult.
So much, he feels like it's one of his favorite venues in all of USL Championship to come in and play. Wonderful backdrop here.
Barbecue this June.
Always great crowds.
Pulled pork nachos just for you at Nacho Junction on the west end of the stadium.
Jackson Walty, who has really settled in nicely in this midfield for Bob Lilly, a perfect fit for what he wants. A player in that position.
And I would throw Charles All in that as well. I agree. I think Jackson Walty and Charles All. Jackson Walty, a bit more of the influence in the attacking side as well, so he works in both boxes, whereas Charles All is kind of sticking to that role, playing as that disruptor, that ability to screen passes.
And he forces the giveaway here. Mertz for Biasi. Now Suber. Biasi on the wing. Pasillas takes him down. And it's going to be a corner.
It's all right, fans. We just got time for another go-in corner.
And right now, talked about the variability in the open, the ability for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds to access that wide area, but then upgrade it from being a wide area into that half space has been critical for them tonight. They presented a lot of opportunities, presented a lot of different looks for themselves. And that's led to some of these corners.
This one is handled by Bandre. That was the 6th corner of the match already for Pittsburgh.
I know this might sound as oversimplification, but winning the duels battle, that comes to define matches, and right now Pittsburgh Riverhounds winning that.
Alvarez's shot attempt was blocked. Bassett now on it. He spins. Arteaga. He fires! Tampa Bay is right back in it. Manuel Arteaga, his 50th career goal. And late in the first half, Tampa Bay showing that grittiness.
And showing why he is the prolific goal scorer that he is known to be. This ability to not only collect and command so much attention from the defenders, but to just play through this traffic and know exactly where goal is, and now has scored 3 goals in 4 matches. That is a high rate of influence when you are a forward and a goal scorer. Now, does that inject the belief, the confidence into this Tampa Bay Rowdies side? We talked about that they wanted to cut this lead before the break. Now you've done just that, and you've given yourself time. And it's always talked about that next 5 minutes. Can the Rowdies jump all over Pittsburgh Riverhounds here and control the narrative going into the halftime break?
Jacqueline for Walty. He crosses. Alvarez couldn't handle it, and it's out for a throw-in. eFootball is here. Live your dream, rep your team, and play as your favorite USL Championship club. eFootball is free to play. Download now. When you're in a bind, you rely on your best players, your best goal scorers. And although the production hasn't been there for Augie Williams this year, he's on the board for Pittsburgh. And Manuel Arteaga has scored for Tampa Bay. Massive momentum swing for Tampa Bay. Just the 12th goal that Pittsburgh have conceded in 2025, and just the 3rd here at Highmark Stadium. Williams on the end line. Williams. That's cut off by Guillen. Van Kaziel had the own goal earlier. Arteaga slipped. Mertz. For Walty. Mertz slipped as well. He's a bit slow to get up. Long ball. It's a good one. Alvarez is on it. Oh, and he rushed it and sailed it well high. He had way more time than that.
Oh, he definitely did. And what a terrific ball played over the top. Breaks all the lines from the Pittsburgh Riverhounds standpoint. But Alvarez did not have to go outside of the foot there. Had the time to take an extra touch. Could have forced Eric Dick into a difficult save or making a big play there.
You know, you just wonder against a team like Pittsburgh how many quote-unquote breakdowns they're going to have.
Agreed.
That gives you more opportunities like the ones that Alvarez just had.
Yeah, now I will say that they are playing with a lot of confidence right now, but I agree completely. How many quality looks do you anticipate on having it? And that one being one of them. Obviously, it did not turn into a full chance. When you want to carry that, obviously you want to know that that's a chance that fell by the wayside, but don't let it dwell into what you're trying to do going into the second half. And as you continue to see this first half out, and possibly try to pull level.
Guillen to his right, sends it into the area. Arteaga chests it down, flips it back to himself, and he goes down. Lee Simon says that was clean. Long ball for Williams, battling with White. Remember, this was the matchup on the header that Williams scored on. He was able to rise over White. So you see 3 minutes of stoppage time here in the first half. Own goal in the 15th. Augie Williams in the 20th minute, 2-0 to Pittsburgh. And then Manuel Arteaga in the 40th minute cut the lead in half and gave Tampa Bay some much needed confidence heading into the halftime locker room. Still with 2.5 minutes of stoppage time though. Over the top again. Pasillas the closest, Rowdy to it. But he's shielded off well. Beto Idrak. We haven't talked much about him today, but he has been one of the best performers defensively, really overall for Pittsburgh. Remember, he had the game winner in the Open Cup against NYCFC. The only USL Championship team to beat an MLS side in the Open Cup this year. And it came in stoppage time right here at Highmark Stadium. Just rejoined the team, I should say, from international duty with Puerto Rico. Earned the call up with them. Rowdy's just unable to connect. Bodley and Guillen not on the same page.
How real momentum is. I mean, for the Tampa Bay Rowdies, I mean, even if this scoreline holds at 2-1, you go into the break talking about some of the missed chances, and not even the chances that have been on frame, some of just the attacks that have sputtered out and have not fully come to fruition. And then the mistake for the own goal. You're looking at this match and you're right in the thick of things. And
no doubt,
Pittsburgh Riverhounds feeling a bit more cautious now. You were flying at 2-0. You felt like some of those offensive questions have been answered, and you were playing with a bit more freedom. You were playing with that multi-dimensional nature.
Hilton from distance. Missed everything.
That you wanted to present throughout the season. And now, what do you look to? Do you go into that defensive posture and try to see out a 2-1 advantage, and you lose some of that threat going forward and you absorb some of that pressure? Or do you just say, hey, we have been talking about playing with more risk. We've been talking about playing with more freedom and independence in terms of going forward, that ability to climb and be front-footed. Do you showcase that in the second half and push for the third goal and possibly leave yourself open and available to conceding a second?
Well, that will do it for the first half. Natalie Simon blows her whistle for halftime. 2-1. The go-ahead goal at the moment. Augie Williams, his second of the season in the 20th minute, as Pittsburgh Riverhounds ahead of Tampa Bay 2-1 at the half. Momentum on the side of Tampa Bay, but it's Pittsburgh who still has control of this one. Lots coming up at the half from Highmark Stadium, so stick with us. We'll be back in just a moment.
The build. What is it that drives us to follow our dreams, to build them from scratch, from the heart? For us, it's the same ideals of hard work, craftsmanship, and unity that define our great nation. It begins with trusting in yourself and having a team behind you that believes any dream is possible, and that every project is a vision of what can be, of who you are, and the future that you continue to build. From our family to yours, 80 Ford Lumber, where quality and pride come together, one dream at a time.
A winner in Pittsburgh!
At AHN, good heart care starts before you're just not feeling right. Before you say, it'll go away on its own. Before it doesn't. Because before an emergency, there's time to stop heart problems with a simple preventative heart check. At AHN, we see you.
Which automaker employs the most hourly workers in the country? Ford. Which automaker assembles the most vehicles in the country? Ford. That's not a coincidence. It's a commitment. A commitment Ford dealers share by offering employee pricing across a full lineup of Ford vehicles.
For a limited time, get employee pricing on select Broncos, plus $3,000 in factory incentives and 3.9% APR for 72 months. Only at your neighborhood Ford store.
Welcome back to Highmark Stadium, 2-1 at the half to the home side, Pittsburgh Riverhounds. Josh Appel, Eric Abramsky with you at halftime. Well, Pittsburgh Riverhounds would like to showcase the pathway from Riverhounds Development Academy players. Riverhounds first team player, and that's embodied by Pablo Linzoan. Let's take a look.
It was one of the obvious ones in terms of giving him an opportunity at the pro level.
Number 70, Pablo Linzoan.
He had a lot of good foundation in his play.
Signed an academy deal last year in May. Third from the Riverhounds Academy to jump into the first team, 18 years old now.
My name is Pablo Linzoan. I play for the 2006-2007 Riverhounds ECNL team and the Pittsburgh Riverhounds first team. Kevin Kerr always pushed me to do my best in training, always being on top of me about just everything, and he always pushed me at the first team. I started training with the first team my freshman year, and that was a big eye-opener for me because I realized, like, wow, like this is what the professional level is like.
Yeah, it's always a big decision to give somebody their debut, especially an academy player. We felt that he had earned it. It was a reward for the work that he put in.
This week on USL All Access, the table tells us which team on the field has been the best due to points, right? What about coaches? We take a statistical deep dive to see which manager has influenced their team in the games the most within 90 minutes of play. Joe Hafferty, defender from Lexington SC, joins us to talk his unique journey developmentally and how Lexington could be on the rise in the Western Conference.
Today we went to the beach, and it was totally worth it. Stay 3 nights this summer at Best Western and get $50 off a future stay.
Crossing
Geyser Alpine Spring Water keep you in the game? We always source our water directly from the natural spring to fuel every body, no matter how you like to move it. So whether you're chasing your goals or just staying active this summer, make sure to stay hydrated with Crystal Geyser Alpine Spring Water. Always bottled at the natural spring source.
Pain doesn't care who you are or why you hurt, but pain can be mastered if you know the way. Focus! Fight back with Tiger Balm's legendary herbal power. Whatever it takes. Trusted for over 100 years. Tiger Balm's proven herbal blend tames pain with the strength and speed of the tiger so that you can rise above pain. Let's make a Karate Kid. And get back to living. This is the way of the tiger.
Who wants that smoke? You want that smoke? Look, I ain't playing, I'm saying this ain't a joke. There ain't no bluffing, I'm calling you out for show. It's either all in or nothing, I go for broke. Who wants that smoke?
Welcome back to Pittsburgh Highmark Stadium. 2-1 Riverhounds lead Tampa Bay at the break. Josh Appel and the coach Eric Dobransky with you. Let's take a look around USL at some news and notes. Cotton Bowl bound. Atletico Dallas, the expansion club coming in 2027, will have their inaugural season played at the historic Cotton Bowl. How about Lou City? They'll host Premier League club Aston Villa and Bundesliga side Eintracht Frankfurt for a friendly in late July. Unbeaten streak Friday night, 19 games, which was just 4 shy of the league record.
I guess everybody was still waiting to see what this North Carolina FC team was about, and emphatically announcing themselves the top 4 contender in the East. And before their recent loss to Rhode Island, they were 4 unbeaten. Have another tough league test when they go to Patriot Point on July 6th to face Charleston Battery, but Lou City would win the Jaegermeister Cup.
Out-of-town scores from today. How about a 2-0 clean sheet victory at home for Detroit City over Miami FC. Miami still trying to find some of that consistency. They're at half with Rhode Island and Sacramento. 0-0 there. 0-0 between Indy and Las Vegas. And Charleston hoping to bounce back. They're at home against Phoenix Rising, up 1-0 in the first half.
Yeah, Miami FC much improved from last year, but to your point, still struggling to find that consistency. Lost over the weekend, but big win against Charleston Battery midweek, and then the 2-0 result tonight. MD Myers for Charleston Battery, putting them up early on Phoenix Rising.
3 more games on the slate tonight. Oakland and Benny Feilhaber pay a visit to Birmingham Legion. That one gets underway, or just about to get underway, over in Birmingham. Then at 9 o'clock, New Mexico United and San Antonio on ESPN+. And then we'll finish out the night, 10 p.m. on CBS Sports Golazo, Monterey Bay FC hosting El Paso Locomotive, who have all of a sudden gone scoreless over their last 3 matches, and they're winless in those last 3. Busy midweek once again. How about that matchup? Loudoun United, Lou City, meeting up for the first time since Loudoun beat them in the Jaegermeister Cup a few weeks ago. Tampa Bay, Indy 11, ESPN 2 Wednesday night, 7 o'clock p.m. We'll see if Tampa Bay will be riding a win streak heading into that one. And then Jaegermeister Cup action at the bottom Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Colorado Springs Switchback, San Antonio FC. And then Rhode Island and Portland Hearts of Pine on Friday night in more Jaegermeister Cup action. Well, now we'd like to offer our condolences to Pittsburgh Riverhounds Director of Partnership Zach Kaminsky and his family. Last week, his mother, Gloria, passed away. Gloria loved the Hounds and loved working at Highmark Stadium. She always looked forward to a game day. She loved connecting with fans and making memories for everyone. Our thoughts are with Zach, the Kaminsky family, and the Pittsburgh Riverhounds organization during this difficult time.
Hi, this is Anthony with Sell Pittsburgh Now. We're buying as-is houses for cash all across the Pittsburgh area. We make it quick and easy to sell your unwanted house. We buy houses as is with no repairs. Whether it needs a ton of work or is in good shape, we buy them all and pay cash fast whenever you need it. You don't need to fix up a thing or even clean up. And best of all, no fees or closing costs. We're Sell Pittsburgh Now, and we want to make you a fair cash offer. Call 412-385-0000.
In his last 4 games. The teams will switch sides, and Pittsburgh will try and hang on to this 2-1 lead. You figure with a team as good defensively as Pittsburgh is, you get a 1-0 lead, it's difficult. You get a 2-0 lead, especially at Highmark Stadium, that's a wrap. But Tampa Bay begins the second half just 1 shot away from equalizing.
And I like the way you pointed out Ollie Bassett, because he is somebody that's going to be crucial to the way this team attacks Pittsburgh in the second half, because the attention that is on Lewis Hilton right now, his inability to get on the ball, and that's something that the Pittsburgh Riverhounds have made a nuisance of. They have not allowed him to turn. They have not allowed him to face up and be that playmaker and showcase that passing range, and Ollie Bassett has got on some of these second actions.
Early on, chance goes wide from Jacqueline, who's still looking for his first goal of the season. He's looking for his first shot on target of the season. Became a fan favorite last year with his contributions. Of course, working his way back from that hamstring injury that held him out of action until the end of April.
And somebody that is expected to add to that offensive explosiveness that this Pittsburgh Riverhounds side is continuing to want to build towards. I said it before the break, what'll be fascinating is the approach from this Riverhound side. Obviously experience on both sides for both these teams, how this match is going to be treated as a playoff match. Obviously both these teams falling below the playoff line coming into the night. Obviously 3 points can to go out, create opportunities as we see this contact against Guillen.
Hilton, where that opportunity Alvarez had in that first half. Certainly wants that one back, but Tampa Bay's sake, they're hoping that they're able to muster up more opportunities.
And when you look back at that chance, I mean, you understand as a turnover here.
Williams, edge of the area, leaves it off for Jacqueline. Guillen watching him, and that's out for a goal kick.
You understand the idea from Alvarez, because since that ball broke so many lines, there was no help. There was no additional runners joining Alvarez, but I just thought the decision-making, the composure there and those final actions could have upgraded his opportunity. Thought he settled a bit on that ball, and that's going to be a player that is going to be have massive importance for the Tampa Bay Rowdies moving forward. Somebody they acquired from Charlotte Independence. Somebody that was a finalist for Young Player of the Year in USL League One.
He dropped to throw in. Williams. Bodley comes over, and then Guillen, instead of it being a corner, forces it out for a throw-in. Riverhounds fans, join us for our next home game on Saturday, June 28th against Westchester SC for dollar beers and live band karaoke. Get your tickets today at riverhounds.com. Eric, your go-to karaoke song?
Ooh. That's a great question. Unfortunately, I'm not a great karaoke reference.
well, I mean, listen, nobody. You're doing karaoke for a reason. As Mertz.
That's a great point.
On the spin. And taken away.
I think Journey's always a.
I was going to say my recent pick now is probably Pink Pony Club, the song they were playing right before the half started. Van Kaziel across, laid out wide, and the shot denied by Dick.
And what a start this would have been for the Tampa Bay Rowdies. They put this attack in high gear. Good layoff from Alvarez. From the moment he got on the ball, Blake Bodley knew exactly where he wanted to go. And it is always a scary sight when you have Manuel Arteaga inside the 6-yard box. Even when he's marked up, just needs the slightest of touches.
How can Tampa Bay get Rubens Pasillas a little more involved tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I think getting him on the ball earlier in the final third is one piece of the puzzle. I think his ability to drive at defenders and move pieces that way. But I think there's something to the numbers that are attaching themselves to Lewis Hilton and what's that doing to the congestion of the field.
Well, I was going to ask you next, is it more that just Pittsburgh is denying those opportunities?
Yeah, I think that's kind of twofold for them, because with that, it is presenting some bigger opportunities for Manuel Arteaga, and that's what you want to see when you have two threats like Pasillas and Arteaga, the ability to create for each other, not even on the ball, just with their movement and their presence. And I think that's what Pasillas is doing. And he's a player that, just like Arteaga, does not need a lot of touches to influence in terms of the final third.
Shot was in. Couldn't get a clean look at it. Bandre able to fall on it.
And I say that about Pasillas because he has 5 goals on the season, 8 shots on target. I mean, that is efficiency.
The capital E. Maybe all caps.
Yeah. When I saw that number, I was kind of astounded, not surprised, but when you're a forward that has been that clinical and that dangerous.
We might get a card here first of the night, and we will. Sean Suber will get booked.
And that's why you have to feel that his confidence is still very high, even if he hasn't gotten touches. It's the same with Augie Williams. I mean, Augie Williams has made a living off of late dramatic goals and timely goals just because he doesn't need to be involved. He can find his involvement in different aspects, as we see yellow card earned. Again, it's Manuel Arteaga being involved, that physicality, the presence, the awareness. Lewis Hilton on the ball.
Hilton delivers. The header, well wide. Now for a goal kick.
I would definitely say from the two sides, Steve Coleman and Tampa Bay Rowdies have to feel good about the liveliness they've displayed here in the second half. this is one of those elements, the ability to pick up the ball without any threat except a poor giveaway.
Back facing goal. Heavy touch taken by Pittsburgh. Mertz cuts to his right. Deflected off Ancaziel. And then All couldn't tee it up. Aaron Barnes sprints after it and keeps it alive. He crosses one in. It comes down. Williams. All again. Barnes tracks it down. And too far out of the reach for All.
You got to like the numbers that Pittsburgh Riverhounds are putting in and around the box, but you almost feel like too many of them are doing the same job. You almost have two players come onto that ball, and then the ball that gets clipped in, same thing. You have three players, and some of that poise and composure you lose because you kind of throw the assumption that your teammate is going to be involved and get on the ball and still earn a dangerous corner here, and it's always threatening when Robbie Mertz is over the ball. We saw it with the first goal with the own goal.
Sixth corner of the match. Mertz in. Walty commits the foul. Ollie Bassett with some gamesmanship, I think, there. Walty doesn't like the whistle.
See his appeal to the center official, and Ollie Bassett feeling that slightest bit of contact and knowing that his back is turned to the attacking goal. He's in a tough situation. You feel that contact and you feel like you can get your team out of a tough scenario.
Fourth start in a row for Ethan Bandry, replacing Nico Campisi. We're in points in 2 of the 3 matches Bandry has started. He didn't have a chance on either of the goals that Pittsburgh scored tonight. One an own goal, the other from Augie Williams. Select is proud to be the official match ball supplier of the USL Championship. From the Academy to the big leagues, Select is there every step of the way. Visit us.select-sport.com for the latest Select products, specials, and more. Select, the player's choice. Collision there, and they'll get a foul on Alvarez.
We continue to highlight Pittsburgh Riverhounds defensively, but with the urgency and desperation that both these teams are going to showcase as this second half continues to wear on, you have to feel like this is not going to end a 2-1 match. And not that you've seen some loud, big opportunities just yet. Obviously, we had one from Blake Bodley for the Rowdies, and we've seen Pittsburgh Riverhounds find some key entries into the final third. But this game is being played at a pace where both these teams are trying to solve problems. They're collaborating. They're trying to find those matchups that, for Pittsburgh, equal a third goal and possibly putting this game a bit more out of reach. And then for the Rowdies, an equalizer that would undoubtedly inject that momentum that you're desperately looking for and desperately looking to continue to harness after that win over Miami.
Casillas back for Bassett. His cross on the post. Eric Dick comes up with it.
And clever work from the Tampa Bay Rowdies, and Ollie Bassett crafty in the ball that he plays. He almost feels like he catches Eric Dick cheating towards the numbers that were starting to build in front of the 6-yard box, and you almost get a goalkeeper leaving that front post available and exposed, and that's something that Ollie Bassett recognized and almost tried to take advantage of.
Mertz. Perrin Barnes. Mertz trades with All. He sends one in. Bandry aggressive. Bobbled it for a moment, but finally was able to control.
He does bobble it, but his positioning allows him to regain possession and not spill anything in the direction of Augie Williams.
Jacqueline, here comes Bertan. Jacqueline! Bandry comes up with a massive stop.
And what a tremendous save by Ethan Bandre. We had asked Steve Coleman about his thoughts on the performance and what he brings to this Rowdy side, and one of those is great saves, and this being at the top of the list because not only is it a big save in terms of just the positioning and what he had to do, but the timeliness. I mean, this game could be 3-1 if not for Ethan Bandre.
Former starter with Colorado Rapids 2 and MLS Next Pro, SKC 2 in Next Pro, as Mertz delivers. Short, flicked, high, on top of goal. And look at another shot at it.
Fans, let's keep the noise coming for another.
And I know when you're a goalkeeper, now seeing his 4th consecutive start, you have opponents continuing to want to test you in these areas, and you're going to see this ball right in the mix.
It was a good one. Bassett hampered in that corner. And it's a throw in from as far away as I think humanly possible for Tampa Bay.
Try to gain any inch of real estate you can. As you can see, the Riverhounds continue to point backwards.
Fans, just a reminder that after the match, players will be signing autographs on the pitch. Stick around and meet the team presented.
This match now an hour old. Williams has one tonight.
In Wexford and Bridgeville.
Biasi. Walty, cheeky little through ball. White deflects off him.
And fans.
Out for a corner. Oh, maybe a throw in here instead of a corner. I thought that went out over the end line.
Yeah, Jackson Walty is as well setting up as a corner. And
maybe wanted better there. Suber. Biasi. Bodley battling with Jacqueline, and it's off of Jacqueline last for a throw to Tampa Bay. Watch the USL Championship in Spanish on 2DN, the nation's leading Spanish language sports network. Oakland Roots SC faces off against Detroit City FC on July 5th at 10 p.m. Eastern. You can go to USLChampionship.com for the complete USL TV listings. As I said earlier, these Tampa Bay Rowdies will be on ESPN 2 on Wednesday against Indy 11, 7 p.m. Eastern on the Deuce. Arteaga, he has one. Easily taken away from him. Guillen. Castellanos. Williams flying around. Bassett. Offside.
And that's something that, do we see that start to introduce itself at a higher rate? Ali Bassett dropping in, getting on the ball, allowing Lewis Hilton to climb the field and play more in that attacking half. Just a change of look, just a change of where and when you get on the ball, and trying to get one of your biggest playmakers.
Jacqueline, one touch. Smashes it well high.
fans, you can join us next week on Saturday, June 28th.
And I know this comes from a ball bouncing through the back and a missed clearance, but the relentless pressure from Guillen forces that difficult take.
Mertz, some room. Mertz thought they wanted a foul there, no call. And then Natalie Simon collided with Charles All. And Natalie Simon is down back behind the play. Rowdies building up and finally cleared. We've got chaos all over the place. Natalie Simon, the referee, is down and now play is halted. I hate to see that. She collided with Charles All.
Unfortunate sequence here. I'll hope that both are okay, and looks like Charles All is up.
Natalie Simon's all right.
See Robbie Mertz engaging offensively. Ooh.
Good to see both All and Simon are okay.
And what makes it even more difficult is you're not preparing for that contact.
Right. Both parties involved.
Yeah, it just catches you by surprise. So when your body is not preparing to incur that contact, you tend to take a bit more of the hit. And good to see Natalie Simon up and going, and such a tremendous referee.
How do you think he sees through that?
It looks like with a lot of difficulty, because that phone is really close. And I hadn't seen it move, so I don't know if he was even done reading the first line of whatever they were taking a look at.
I mean, look, nobody's going to fault it if he takes off the helmet just to answer a text. I think we would all understand.
Do you have the gloves and everything where now you have to voice text or something?
Yellow card issued here to Ubens Pasillas.
And this is something that obviously Pasillas earns this yellow card. He doesn't get the first tug, but he gets the second. And you could see how purposeful and intentional the Pittsburgh Riverhounds have been with two key players for the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Lewis Hilton, have not seen a lot of involvement, obviously, other than the restarts. And then Ubens Pasillas has been unable to kind of get this going. He asked the question early in the second half, how do you get him on the ball? And I think some of those early involvements in the final third was going to be important. But again, I think when you do have the way Manuel Arteaga is getting on the ball and causing that havoc and being dangerous, and you see him involved again, then you ride that wave as well, and you hope that some of these second and third actions can bring in the involvement of Ubens Pasillas.
We have substitutions for the Riverhounds.
So Pittsburgh will make a couple of substitutions. Bertrand Jacquesin will exit in favor of Jorge Garcia, and then Danny Griffin will come on here in the 68th minute. And Charles All will come off.
Jorge Garcia. Also checking out is number 12, Charles All.
Yeah, I think both those players had decent involvement in the match. I mean, obviously had their moments of in and around the final third. Obviously, Charles All defensively kind of won some of those battles in midfield. Now you bring in the experience of Danny Griffin. Can he continue to see this game out and be effective in midfield? Obviously feeling good illness-wise in terms of the way in which he can impact this match.
Pittsburgh would love an insurance goal. Normally when they score two, it's not all that much of a nail-biter. Not that really Tampa Bay has threatened at all much in this second half, but all it takes is one moment.
Yeah, that liveliness, that energy that the Rowdies had come out with is kind of dissipated, and it's kind of dulled out a bit in the final third. But what you know is you're going to get their best shot from the remainder of this match. And for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, does human nature start to creep in? Do you see that one goal advantage, and as you're hitting that 20-minute mark left in the match, do you just naturally find yourself dropping into a defensive posture, falling deeper into your defensive half? Now maybe you allow the Rowdies to get on the ball a bit more, maybe allow the Rowdies to get a couple different looks that they hadn't seen before.
Remember, this is around the time when the rally started against Miami FC for Tampa Bay last week. 74th minute, Guillen got the scoring started. It was his second professional goal, his first since 2021. And Arteaga tied it, or excuse me, Arteaga gave Tampa Bay the win in stoppage time. A whole different animal on the road here in Pittsburgh. Bad giveaway. Arteaga too far out of the reach of Alvarez.
And I think that's going to be a bit of the frustration for the Tampa Bay Rowdies. You see it throughout the second half. They have put themselves in some positive situations. They have just misfired on that final ball. We saw it a couple times with Arteaga at the top of the six, just getting a ball played behind him instead of in front of him when there was space right there, and then right there the layoff to Alvarez. Just being on separate pages there, so they're getting themselves deeper into the Pittsburgh Riverhounds defensive zone. Just unable to punish them and reward themselves with a clear-cut opportunity, because besides the Blake Bodley chance early in the second half, can't really recall another one here in the second half that is tested. I mean, I know Ali Bassett had the one in the half space that crossed the face of goal.
Kaziel, it's cut off. Hilton does a good job keeping it alive. Pasillas for Van Kaziel. Bassett trades with Hilton. Van Kaziel, cross, back post. A little bit too tall. Bodley mistimed. Ooh, and then a little shoulder there from Alvarez. Throw in for Pittsburgh, no foul.
We got substitutions for
Joey Skinner will enter for Tampa Bay. Lawrence Wyke will exit. And Nick Moon will also come on for Blake Bodley.
And when you're trying to overcome a 2-goal deficit, you can see some teams kind of deteriorate in that commitment, that energy level to get back in the game. But this is such a game of fine margins right now that until that final whistle, I mean, you just went through the score line for that game against Miami FC. That stoppage time goal from Manuel Arteaga that picked up all 3 points. I mean, you are going to get everything from this Tampa Bay Rowdies side, and that's something that has not escaped this team all season. I know the record is what it is right now, but it is not at the fault of the hard work, the commitment, the togetherness, the ability to fight through some of this adversity. It's just some results have not fallen their way, and that's where you have to flip the script. You have to make the plays when they're there to be made. And this is a team that has completely grasped where they are and where they want to be and how they need to get there, and they are going to battle every minute.
Hey Riveters fans, join us for our next home game on Friday, June 27th against Steel City FC. You can get your tickets today. All 3 goals in the first half. The 2 for Pittsburgh, separated by 5 minutes. In the 15th and 20th minute, an own goal from Van Casio, the former Pittsburgh Riverhound. And then Augie Williams, his first since the season opener, in the 20th minute. And then Arteaga in the 40th. So we're having our second half hydration break.
This is a hydration break.
Another great night here at Highmark Stadium. Attendance over 5,000 once again tonight. It's one of the best stadiums, one of the best atmospheres in all of USL Championship.
And continues to add to how difficult it is to come on the road and play at Highmark. Not only play at Highmark, but get any sort of result. And that's something that, again, when we talked to Bob Lilly early in the season and now throughout, they're going on this bit of a home stretch here.
8 of the next 10.
They recognize how important it is to get results here at home. The aggressiveness on and off the ball is ramped up, feeding off the energy of this crowd, and so making sure that they are protecting what they have come accustomed to protecting, which is home field advantage.
So Meadow Idrak will come off. Junior Itu will come on for these final 15 minutes.
You can see him getting stretched out by the trainer, so coming off of those World Cup qualifiers, national team duty, working himself back into minutes and having to come on very early in that Indy 11 match, just fresh off of those World Cup qualifiers appearance. Having to come on the 27th minute, the first half of that at Indy 11 for Asamanu. But replaced by a player that has that class, that quality as well. In the wide spaces, we've seen a number of assists from his delivery.
Can Pittsburgh hang on these final 13 and a half minutes as either? Moon trying to get there.
And
cut off by Itu.
I don't doubt that we'll see that change, to your point. I don't know if we'll see, with roughly 13 minutes left, I don't know if we'll see Pittsburgh throw that commitment, throw those numbers, especially when you're seeing out a one-goal advantage. I mean, I know Bob Lilly talked about wanting to be riskier in the final third, wanting to be more attack-minded, and you mentioned 95% of training being focused on that attacking side of the ball. But there is a piece to the puzzle where 3 points, however you collect it, is 3 points, especially when you're looking to climb the table, such as Pittsburgh, because you mentioned it earlier, when you kind of put the standings together, 3 points could catapult themselves from below the playoff line to
right in the thick of it.
Yeah, right in the thick of it.
Here's that foul.
Castellanos climbing onto the back of Augie Williams.
happy hour every Monday through Thursday for drink and food specials.
Pinballing around, Mertz finally controls. Barnes over Williams and Garcia's head, tracked down by Junior E2. Walty swings it in. Griffin tracked it. E2 lost it. Tight quarters, and Tampa Bay gave it right back. E2 goes down. That's a foul and a free kick coming.
And I know I said it was not going to be likely that we saw that collective attack from the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, but when you see it build like that, yes, you're naturally going to get those numbers moving forward. You're going to get that front-footed attack. You're going to get that ability to occupy the layers, occupy the spaces, and then in the end of it, you earn yourself a quality free kick that not only takes time off the clock, but puts you in a situation where you get that man looking over the ball, and you just never know what you can create.
So here's Mertz standing over it. Final 10.5 minutes. Griffin up top, Walty, the strike, saved by Bandre.
I know that looks like a casual routine save by Ethan Bandre as we see this initial delivery, first contact made, recycled ball laid off. But when you're fighting to find that ball through all that traffic.
Walty had a similar opportunity against against Indy 11 last week as well at the top of the area. Out for a Tampa Bay throw. And a substitution for the Rowdies here. Danny Crisostomo will come on
Checking out number 14,
for Thomas Van Kaziel.
Now in number 17, Danny Crisostomo.
The USL Championship and League One are on CBS Sports and ESPN platforms all season long. Catch live matches and expert analysis every day on the CBS Sports Golazo Network and ESPN Plus. Go to USLChampionship.com or USLLeague1.com for the complete USL TV listings. Bassett trying to track that down. E2 gets there first. Battle of two number 8s. And jersey numbers, not positionally, just to clarify.
Yeah, we long went away from jersey numbers equating to positions like in the past.
Protect the lead. Hilton. Crisostomo just into the match. Skinner couldn't corral, had it taken off his foot, and it's out for a throw to Pittsburgh. E2 with space, cuts to the middle. Junior E2 tried to carry it all the way in. Play rolls on. Natalie Simon has been very judicious with that whistle tonight. She hasn't blown it very often. Alvarez flicks it forward. Pasillas. And that's a corner.
but has been consistent with the no calls. As you see the drive into the box, and Pittsburgh feeling there was enough there to earn themselves a penalty, and then Tampa Bay Rowdies did not care about waiting for any sort of argument or any call. They went right down the field. One of the rare moments that you see Rubens Pasillas on the ball in the final third. But they earn a corner, and we've seen how dangerous they can be.
Lewis Hilton waiting to deliver in. Big spot late in this match. Two assists last week for Hilton. Towards the back post, headed down, not on target. Castellanos is the one who got ahead on it. Hilton was on the USL Championship Team of the Week after his 2 assists. A little quieter tonight.
Started to see his influence felt in the latter stages of that match against Lou City. Came on in the 55th minute. Raleigh Bassett. Game that was 2-1 at the break and stayed that way, and saw Lou City pick up the points at home. It still felt like that was a match that the Rowdies continued to turn the tide and continued to build up those performantially. The Eastern Conference standings are right now. I mean, 3 points just continues to be so valuable. You see now Robbie Mertz down.
We'll see what happened to Robbie Mertz.
A lot of ground coverage here from both sides as you see Robbie Mertz going in to make a play there, and he's not able to get it up again. A bit of a stretch here.
Pittsburgh is preparing a substitution for these final 4 minutes plus stoppage time.
When you're entering this midseason stretch, I mean, we touched on it in the open, the availability for both these teams. Obviously, Fernandez and Neon Gaberi not available for the Tampa Bay Rowdies, but still felt like they were trending in the right direction in terms of health and availability. Pittsburgh Riverhounds being at almost full capacity. Obviously, Danny Griffin dealing with that illness.
So that'll be Aiden O'Toole who will come on for Robbie Mertz and Pittsburgh for these final handful of minutes. Or maybe not. I guess we'll stay with not for now.
And what you see with the midseason, some of these midweek games, you have the Jägermeister Cup involved as well at the end of each month. You want to continue to trend in that direction where your team is able to stay healthy, stay available. That depth, such an important piece in the USL Championship.
Castellanos moves it ahead, Cristostomo. Alvarez couldn't handle. And now Pittsburgh. Mertz with space. Robbie Mertz, the cross, back post! Oh, how'd that not go? Jackson Walty in disbelief, as are the 5,000 fans at Highmark Stadium.
And you almost felt like the first involvement here defensively from Moon was going to equate to the goal from Jackson Walty, but then he makes the second block. You felt like right there he'd put his team in a difficult situation, but more than makes up for it. Staying with the play.
It was Max Broughton who came on, not Aiden O'Toole. He's on now for Robbie Mertz, and it's a corner for Pittsburgh. The in-swinger. Handled by Bandre. Time running out for Tampa.
Those are two big defensive plays. Bandre earlier in this half, the save on Jacquesin.
Uh-oh, Eric Dick. Nearly an absolute catastrophe for Pittsburgh.
And then that goal line intervention from Nick Moon. Miscue out of the back here. Big ball played out of the back. Looking to just settle this down for Eric Dick. For the Tampa Bay Rowdies, can they generate one good look on goal? That's what you need. You don't need quantity right now. You just need quality.
Another substitution, this one for Tampa Bay. Endri Mustali comes on for Ali Bassett, who was fantastic tonight. Bassett had the assist on the goal by Arteaga late in the first half. And now Mustali gives some fresh legs. 30 seconds left in regulation.
And Ali Bassett stepping up when he was needed. That inability to get Lewis Hilton on the ball in some of those dangerous areas because of what Pittsburgh was doing defensively. Opened up some of those spaces for Ali Bassett, but it's then up to him to make the plays, and that he did.
A lot of jersey tugging going on there. The whistle blows, and the foul is against Pittsburgh, as we will have 6 minutes of stoppage time.
Extra 6 minutes to make some noise.
That's out for a goal kick for Eric Dick. 6 minutes of stoppage time separates Pittsburgh from another win at home.
And you're going to see an all-out blitz from the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Everything is on the table. Every ball is going to be challenged. And challenged in a way that puts your team going forward. Everything is going to be progressive. Everything's going to be positive.
Bandre, he's had some heroic moments tonight. This could be 3-1, maybe even 4-1. Is that a child on the pitch right now? I believe that's the case. There is a child that's just run onto the pitch here at Highmark Stadium to go interact with Augie Williams, and I believe that's been handled. Huh. So we restart play. Arteaga trying to pull a fast one. And now the restart. Williams. Now Guillen for Tampa Bay. Goes long. Comes down. Wubens Pasillas. And he's dispossessed. Cleared away. Williams is fouled by Guillen. Oh, wow, they get Williams for the foul there? Okay. The restart. Pitt drives. Alvarez watching him. Walty smartly Look at this work from Jackson Walty. There with Cristostomo. And now Hilton takes away. Walty still pressuring, forces the giveaway, and they get a foul on Walty. And they're not happy with Natalie Simon.
And I know there's frustration, but that is quality management and valuable time that came off the clock.
You see why Bob Lilly loves himself some Jackson Walty, and it's all of a sudden gotten really physical here as Biasi is going to get carded for the foul on Arteaga.
Well, you know the Tampa Bay Rowdies aren't going to wait for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds to plead their case to Natalie Simon. They're going to get this ball going and get the restart going forward because they are trying to get this goal back as we see Biasi on the foul. How involved have we seen Arteaga throughout the night? I know he would love a second goal, but just feel like he has threatened every area of the attacking half. He's just not been able to get the involvement of Rubens Pasillas.
So now a big moment here. Hilton with a free kick. A minute and a half to go in stoppage time. Tampa Bay down 1. Hilton might have mishit that. It's a foul anyways against Tampa Bay in the box. And frustration from Lewis Hilton. You could see him yelling at the turf. I don't think he's blaming the turf. I mean,
yeah.
the ground's always been there.
Yeah. No, clearly frustrated with the delivery. And it would have been negated from the foul anyways, but still wanted to put that in an area that maybe if you do put it in behind that back line, the runs are a little bit clearer, but it does seem like that foul was committed well before that ball was even put in that area.
At the mercy of the whistle of Natalie Simon. E2 flicks it in the air. Mustali mistimed his jump, now cleared away again by Pittsburgh. Whistle for a foul. Time running out for Tampa Bay. Maybe time for one more push up the field. If not, Pittsburgh will be back in the win column with a massive 3 points. Put into the area, Pasillas, Arteaga, cleared away. Castellanos. Guillen, long, towards Eric Dick. He corrals. And a yellow given to Arteaga.
I was about to say, I was surprised that he hadn't picked up a yellow with some of his post-play reactions to some of the plays that he felt like were fouls. And you see Natalie Simon having to go back and issue the yellow card to Arteaga. But that last spell was kind of indicative of how this second half has gone for the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Just unable to find that final action, that inability to connect in some of those crucial moments. And it hasn't been to the fault of their inability to get the ball deep into the attacking third.
And there is the final whistle. Pittsburgh hangs on for the 2-1 win over Tampa Bay Rowdies and earns a massive 3 points.
Yeah, the Pittsburgh Riverhounds did enough to earn all 3 points tonight. They came out, played on the front foot, were aggressive. They climbed the field well. They did it aggressively. They did it collectively. Got the 2 goals in the first half. They did feel the pressure from the Tampa Bay Rowdies with that goal from Manuel Arteaga.
Tonight's man of the match presented by Modelo, and it's Augie Williams who scored in the 20th minute, and that turned out to be the game winner tonight, his first goal since the season opener.
Yeah, it's going to be something for Bob Lilly and this side. They're going to hope that this can kickstart something offensively for Augie Williams and the Pittsburgh Riverhounds that can be sustainable and consistent throughout the remaining portion of the season.
So 2-1 is the final. We'll come back and wrap things up for you with final highlights and stats from a Highmark Stadium. Great performance tonight from the home side. They're victorious over Tampa Bay.
It's Sonesta of Pittsburgh's 50/50 Awnings and Shade Sale. Pay as low as $50 a month and get up to 50% off for your awning or shade. Plus, get 0% up to 84 months. You need shade? We got you covered. We give the best discounts, lowest payments, and 0% financing for deck and patio awnings, porch and garage screens, window and door awnings, and over 150 colors. For your home or business, we got you covered. Pay as low as $50 a month. Call 1-800-292-5594 or visit sonestaofpittsburgh.com.
Mailbox and weren't able to create something louder than that.
So now, Pittsburgh, who ended the night in 9th place, below the playoff cut line, with the 3 points tonight in their 5th win of the season, they move all the way up to 6th, just 3 back of Detroit City.
And it continues to emphasize a huge homestand that they have. Coming up next is New Mexico United here at home in league play, and then Loudoun. So a beast in the West, and a team in Loudoun United that has proven to be a top 3 team contender in the Eastern Conference right now.
Absolutely, and all of a sudden, Bob Lilly's team has won 3 of their last 4. They're right in the thick of things in the Eastern Conference. For the coach, Eric Dobransky, and our entire crew, this is Josh Appel saying so long from Highmark Stadium in Pittsburgh. Once again, the final score, Riverhounds 2, Rowdies 1. Bob Lilly's side back above the playoff cut line in the Eastern Conference. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you next time.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent of the United Soccer League.